This is major breaking news. This is an original story from David Ornsey.
100 million plus is an awful lot of money, though. Is he worth it?
I think he will be. I mean,
Manchester City has once again shattered the football landscape by officially unveiling their latest marquee signing, securing the services of a highly coveted English midfielder in a historic transfer. The reigning Premier League heavyweight spared no expense to land the 23-year-old maestro, Elliot Anderson, splashing out a staggering, club record guaranteed fee of £116 million that could eventually rise to £130 million with performance-related add-ons. The astronomical deal eclipses City's previous transfer benchmark, the £100 million spent on Jack Grealish in 2021, and firmly establishes Anderson as the most expensive British player in football history, surpassing the fee Arsenal paid for Declan Rice. The official unveiling marks the dramatic conclusion of a relentless pursuit by Manchester City, who have formally presented the midfielder as their cornerstone signing for the upcoming era. Despite the grand announcement, the player will not be linking up with his new club immediately. Anderson is currently halfway across the world, heavily entrenched in international duty with the England national team. The formalization of the deal means he is officially a Manchester City player in writing, but his physical integration into the squad remains strictly pending until his international commitments are fully concluded. The young midfielder is presently in the United States, playing a pivotal role under Thomas Tuchel as England competes on the grandest stage of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Having already started the Three Lions opening group stage matches against Croatia and Ghana, Anderson's focus remains locked on helping his country navigate the deep stages of the tournament. Because of his active involvement in the tournament, the traditional stadium presentation and media press conferences will have to wait, with Manchester City granting the player the necessary time to see out his World Cup journey. Once his responsibilities in the United States come to an end, there will be no time for a lengthy summer vacation. According to club sources, Anderson will report directly to Manchester City's pre-season training camp rather than heading back to the United Kingdom. City's intensive pre-season preparations are designed to integrate him into the tactical framework as quickly as possible, ensuring that the record-breaking signing hits the ground running when the domestic campaign commences. The road to securing Anderson's signature was anything but straightforward, developing into one of the most complex, drawn-out, and fiercely contested transfer sagas of modern times. Nottingham Forest proved to be exceptionally tough negotiators, with owner Evangelos Marinikis initially flatly refusing to entertain the idea of losing his prized asset. Forest held a strong bargaining position and dug their heels in, determined to maximize the value of a player who had just guided them to a remarkable 7th-place finish and a historic run to the UEFA Europa League semi-finals. The negotiation table quickly transformed into a financial battlefield as Nottingham Forest repeatedly knocked back Manchester City's advances. City's initial approach of around £80 million was swiftly rejected, as was a subsequent heavily incentivized bid that approached £120 million but relied too heavily on future bonuses. Forest insisted on an unprecedented guaranteed cash layout, forcing Manchester City into a corner where they either had to walk away or break their historical transfer structure to get their man. Adding to the complexity of the deal was an intense behind-the-scenes tug-of-war with fierce crosstown rivals Manchester United, who were equally desperate to land the English international. The Red Devils matched City's ambition and aggressively pushed to hijack the player's destination, pitching an alluring project to rebuild their own midfield around him. The multi-club bidding war drove the player's market value into the stratosphere, leaving the footballing world on the edge of its seat as both Manchester giants fought tooth and nail for the upper hand. In the end, Manchester City executed a ruthless tactical hijack to steer the midfielder toward the Etihad stadium. Realizing that local rivals and other European elite clubs were closing in, City's hierarchy pivoted, bypassed the structured add-ons, and presented an undisputed, jaw-dropping straight cash offer that Forest simply could not refuse. Anderson himself ultimately forced the issue, explicitly informing Nottingham Forest of his desire to join the blue half of Manchester, effectively shutting the door on Old Trafford. What makes this record-breaking transaction truly astonishing is the ominous backdrop against which it was executed. Manchester City pushed this monumental deal over the line despite the dark, unresolved cloud of 115 Premier League financial charges looming heavily over the club. With a high-stakes independent regulatory commission scrutinizing Their past financial dealings, many rival executives and pundits anticipated that City would adopt a conservative, risk-averse approach in the transfer market to avoid further scrutiny. Instead, the City hierarchy chose to defy the narrative entirely, delivering a defiant statement of intent to their rivals. By flexing their immense financial muscles in such historic fashion, the club demonstrated that they refused to let the ongoing legal battles paralyze their sporting ambitions or hinder their squad planning. The acquisition signals an unwavering confidence from the Etihad boardroom that the club will emerge from the legal cloud unscathed. Furthermore, the signing represents a massive statement of intent as Manchester City navigates a transitional period following the departure of their long-serving managerial icon, Pep Guardiola. The club wanted to send an undeniable message to the rest of European football that the end of an era does not equate to a decline in their domestic dominance. Investing a British record fee into a 23-year-old superstar guarantees that the core of City's midfield remains elite, youthful, and vibrant for the next decade. For Nottingham Forest, losing Anderson is undoubtedly a bitter, painful pill to swallow, especially given the rapid trajectory that saw him rise from a £35 million ex-Newcastle prospect to an indispensable international asset in just 2 seasons. However, the historic windfall provides Forest with an extraordinary war chest to overhaul their squad. The club has reportedly already begun reinvesting the record profits, opening active discussions to secure Tottenham's Lucas Bergvall as a direct midfield replacement. As the World Cup progresses in the United States, Anderson is expected to undergo his formal medical examinations directly at England's training base to finalise the bureaucratic paperwork. Once the final whistle blows on England's tournament run, the spotlight will instantly shift back to his monumental club move. The sheer scale of the transfer fee guarantees that a massive weight of expectation will accompany his first steps on the pitch for his new club. When Elliot Anderson finally touches down at Manchester City's pre-season camp, he will do so not just as a promising young international, but as the most expensive signing in the history of the club. His arrival marks the dawning of an audacious new chapter for Manchester City, one defined by an uncompromising willingness to fight through tricky negotiations, hijack rivals, and spend unprecedented millions, irrespective of the storms brewing off the pitch.
This video and subscribe.